Alright, the 57's back in the shop. Sure would like to hear this thing run this weekend. So I think what I'm going to do is start building some plug wires. I think I need to run the vacuum line for the map sensor too. I think that's all it takes to make this thing run. I think. So anyway, let me endeavor in that direction. Had to drive it in on the milk crate. Got Milky One said I had a tall milk crate. I don't know if there's shorter ones or not, but that's what it is. I've been struggling a little bit today. I drank too much milk at my breakfast is what it is. I've been knowing I shouldn't drink much milk, but I disregarded it and I'm suffering. But hopefully this too shall pass. Alright, let me I guess I ought to clean my workbench off a little bit so I can see what I'm doing over there. And I ought to throw them rotors in the junk pile. Hate to throw away genuine Timken bearings, but they sure do have some miles on them. And I got new Chinesium ones in it, so guess I might as well throw them in the junk pile. Alright, the coils are all wired up and we got plug wires in place. I think all I got left to do is hook up the map sensor to the ECU. And then I got to put some parameters into the Holley system. And I believe this thing will fire up. I'm getting a little excited. Alright, I think I'm ready to hook up the battery cable. And I got to put the parameters into the Holley terminator system so it'll run. Also got to do something with the gauges. Maybe I better read up on that. Well, I got two problems already. For some reason this monitor lights up even though I didn't turn the key on, which leads me to believe I have done something incorrectly. And then when I tried to turn the key on, the fuel pump fired right up, and it came to my attention as fuel was spilling on the floor. I never tightened up a fitting down there, so I guess I better do that. Actually, there's two ponds under there. Guess I should have tightened all the fittings. Probably wasted $5 worth of gas. Well, you can hear the fuel pump running, and it ain't leaking, so that's good. But that's all I'm doing tonight. My tummy's been hurting all day, and I'm tired. And I think I got a birthday party tomorrow, so I don't know how much I'll get done, but I'll be back. Well, I figured out my little wiring issue. It turns out that the trouble I was having was, as soon as I hooked the battery up, the display lit up without having turned the key on. So being the quick thinking guy I am, I figured out that somehow something that was supposed to be switched was battery, wired to battery. So I got my little test light out and checked around, and I had hooked the red and with a white stripe wire from the ECU into the power window circuit, because I figured it'd be a good place to get a source from. You know, since this thing ain't got no power windows, it ain't gonna have. But I figured out the power window circuit and this wiring harness is live all the time, which I have never seen a car that it is, but I guess that's just a thing. So I wired it to a different source. I think we're good now. Let's see if I can reach in there, feel, fumble around, find the ignition switch. There it is. Hey, look, it's lighting up. So now I'm going to set the parameters for the Holley system, or at least I'm going to attempt to. We got 12.29 in the battery. So I think it's ready to fire up. But before I do that, I'm gonna put the charger on it. I'm a little excited. I gotta simmer down. Need to check one time more, make sure I ain't got no fuel leaks. I pulled the fuse on the fuel pump so it wouldn't be running while I was doing all this. And I think then we'll light her off. You remember I did a review on this one. This charger. 12-volt normal. Okay. Anyway, it's going to start charging. They gave this to me for free in exchange for reviewing it for y'all. By the way, my review was it was pretty good little charger. Although sometimes they tend to overcomplicate things. One of these I got, you can work it from your phone. I don't know why you'd want to do that if, there's buttons on the charger. We just need to keep it simple. Anyway, what do y'all think about me doing reviews? I get somebody about every day, it seems like, asking me to review something. Usually it's Chinese stuff. I got that Vivor welder. What else? Battery chargers, jump starters. Those things are always a good thing and useful. But I find it, they want a video pretty quick and all that, which I understand. They just gave you a product, but it's hard for me to squeeze them in. I don't, what do y'all think about it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Well, I run the fuel pump just to make sure it didn't have no more leaks, and turns out I got more leaks. Pretty glad I made a trap door. It's leaking right there on the supply side where the pipe thread fitting goes in. So, I guess I better fix that. Alright, I fixed it, I think. Mama's gonna turn the... What are you drinking?
It's a coffee.
It's not coffee.
It is coffee.
That's like chocolate milk or something.
No.
Here, just take the camera and go see if it leaks when I turn it.
Alrighty.
I used Teflon paste the first time, which I haven't had good luck with that. I used Teflon tape this time. Alright, ready?
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Leaking?
I don't see any leaks. Y'all see any leaks?
Let me look. It appears to be good this time. The pump runs all the time because it's going to the fuel filter, which returns from the fuel filter. Which I guess same damn world. That's how it's supposed to be.
What you looking at?
Just making sure there ain't no other leaks. Alright, I'm not going to fire this thing up until the gas has evaporated. Because I don't want no fires.
That would be a smart thing.
Give me a rag.
It is kind of loud.
What?
It is kind of loud.
That's just brake fluid. It's okay.
We got brakes?
It's from the truck.
Oh.
I work on all... It's quite a job keeping up with all this stuff.
I know that's right.
And expensive. So my advice is, if y'all are going to get into the car hobby and have a dozen cars, like this insane guy, you better have a dang good job.
And don't have any kids.
and or marry somebody who has a gate at their house that has lots of money. Don't go shopping at the trailer parks. All right. I'm still not going to crank it up because I still gotta. I thought I had that digital dash all wired up, but I figured out I didn't. That's what happens when too much time elapses and you're old. You forget stuff. And also, I've got to go through and set everything up in it. So I'm going to do that now. Although I suspect I might have to leave for that little one's birthday party here shortly. Alright, I'm going to crank it up here in a minute, I think. But let's look and see how the dash lights look. I don't know why. I don't know why that one's staying on. He's got a bad bulb. Alright, we're going to go for it here. We're going to crank this thing up. Here, you run the camera.
Okay.
Fuel pump's working. We got no leaks. I've checked and double checked everything. I set the parameters in the computer. Here, the fuel pump. Nothing.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Maybe you better triple check things.
Maybe I better triple check things. We have a no start condition.
So what's the troubles?
We got no spark and I ain't sure why. I ain't sure why. It's reading all the parameters it says it's supposed to. Let me just keep checking some stuff. Saturday morning. Got thunder rumbling. I need to take these calipers back for my 20 bucks. I need to get that seat inside so it don't get wet. That's the front seat for the 57, which still won't run. I was on the phone for an hour. By the way, it's Saturday morning. I was on the phone for an hour yesterday evening with Holly. I was on hold a good bit of that time, but you know how that stuff goes. Anyway, once I finally got to talk to somebody, they were competent, it seemed. And they want me to send the ECU back to them, to Bowling Green, Kentucky. I should know something in 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. That's a little aggravating, but what are you going to do? Got to make it run. What I have done since the last video when I couldn't make it run is I verified it has RPM cranking. It shows temps from the coolant temp sensor. It shows manifold air temperature. It shows an air-fuel ratio that is not appropriate when you're cranking. The throttle body works. I've done the TPS auto set, I think they call it, 4 times. Everything works, it seems like, except I've got no spark and I got no pulse to the injectors. which means it won't run. One thing that concerns me here, and I explained this to the guy on the phone, but you know, I kind of pulled this harness apart a little bit. This is the main harness. It's supposed to have a green wire, which it has. That's for the fuel pump. That's a red wire that goes to the battery, which it does. A blue and white wire, which is for the tach, and there's supposed to be a black wire there, but there is not one coming out of there. A loose wire that you're supposed to ground to the chassis. Now, I put a lot of wiring on this car, and I don't remember. It was getting good out there. I don't remember exactly where. If there's another wire off that harness, there's the main harness that goes to the ECU. I'm wondering if that isn't the problem, but they want to test the ECU first. I just hope this don't stretch into weeks and weeks. You know, if I had to use the GM harness, you get those parts. I still have the GM harness. Be ashamed to put that in now, though, wouldn't it? Anyway, so that's where that is. So I need to pull the ECU out of it and ship it off Monday, I guess. And I've got to go to an online auction here this afternoon. I need a tractor. I sold that one I had bought, the 861. I sent it to my cousin, who is my transmission mechanic, and he's got a bad habit of not finishing stuff. So finally I just sold it to him, so I'd be done with it. Took a little loss, but what the heck. I need one 4-wheel drive anyway, so there's an auction here that might have one reasonable. We'll see. We'll see. It's a Ford. I'd rather have a Kubota. You know, like my friend in Washington, Waylon Wire. So, I had to change my battery. So, I think the plan today is, I've also got a party I got to go to tonight. A surprise 50th birthday party for a guy I went to high school with. I guess that tells you about how old I am, don't it? So, got that to do. Lucky for me, he lives close by. So, I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm doing the auction thing. That'll probably take me a few hours. It's got a bunch of Caprices on that auction, too. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. And then we might see about placing the seat in there so I can see how to get the shifter installed. Those are two big things I got to do yet. Shifter, set the pinion angle. So maybe we'll work in that direction until I get this thing ready to fire. I quit bumping my gums quick enough to get the seat in before it started raining. It's raining. Another thing I did was, you know, they say these LS swaps are cheap. Ha! Small block Chevy and a Quadrajet's a heck of a lot cheaper than this crap. I bought this Noid light set just to make sure I was right. Yeah, there's nobody home at the injectors or the spark plugs. It's a little troublesome to me, but anyway, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. I sure hope this is a reliable setup, because, you know, I plan on driving this car places. Anyway, if anybody's got experience with this Holley Terminator X Max or X, and you can reassure me, say so in the comments. This isn't just a drag strip only car. This is one I want to drive. I want it to be reliable. I don't want to keep cranking on it here because everything's new. I need this thing to fire up. Alright, I'm going to quit belly aching about all that, and I'm going to, I think, clean the inside out here, figure out where my seat mounts, put the seat in temporarily, and then figure out where the shifter's got to go and start sorting that out. I think that's my plan. Right up there's my shifter. Maybe I'll even go up there and get it. Guess what?
What?
I get to spend some more money.
Yay.
You know why?
Because something doesn't work.
I was planning on using this shifter that I had in inventory, which is a low car shifter. But the difficulty is, it's for a Turbo 350. I mean, I don't know. Turbo 400. It says 400, 700 there, but probably like a Turbo 350 or 700 R4. But anyway, when you get they don't fit, for one thing. Nothing fits. And then the other thing is the shifter rod would be coming down about like so through the cables on the side of the transmission. So I need to buy a shifter. I need to figure out.
A taller one than that. Oh, okay. Maybe.
I don't know what kind of shifter. She has. We had a race type shifter in that 55, if y'all will recall. And the truck wound up in the neighbor's yard up against their garage with a new crease in the door. I just put door skins on because
They were weak and didn't go anywhere.
She thought she had it in park, but it was really in neutral. So that's why we put the other shifter in the 55. It's real simple. PRND21. None of this pull up, pull the T lever, hold your mouth just right, stick your tongue out to the left.
That's how my lawnmower worked for many years.
Yeah, well, now you got a new lawnmower.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I can get on it and I can mow. I don't have to hold my tongue a certain way and lap 3. Take
Still
3
pays.
laps around the yard.
It still pays to have certain tongue skills. What?
Stop that.
So I get to pick out what kind of shifter I get to get. I'm really bummed. My Terminator X Max, no worky. My shifter ain't gonna work. Guys, this is the times when you gotta power through. You gotta power through or you don't get the stuff done. So I guess what I'm gonna do to get my spirits up is go. Oh, by the way, I really don't need to spend money for another shifter because I bought a tractor on the auction.
I was going to say, you already been spending money this morning.
But the trouble was, I set myself a limit on the tractor and it went under that. So
Yay.
I bought a tractor.
That's good.
Hope it doesn't turn out like the last tractor I bought. This one's a Ford and the last one I bought was a Ford.
This one has a bucket.
That one did too.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a 1960.
It's been in parts for so long I can't remember.
It's a 1963, I think, 861 diesel with a bucket on the front, power steering. Pretty desirable tractor if you want to know the truth of the matter. The trouble is it wouldn't run.
Yeah, that is true.
So I sent it over to my cousins, to leverage myself and get things done quicker, but that doesn't always work out that way. So I wound up selling him the tractor at a loss. So I'd be done with it. And in case you're wondering, it's still sitting in the same place it was when I took it over there. And, but that's beside the point. It's beside the point. So I need a tractor. So I bought a tractor. And this one runs. I saw it in the video. Hopefully it's not knocking or something like that.
Couldn't tell in the video.
It's just a video. You're rolling the dice when you buy stuff at the auction.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it does not. Alright, I'm going to shut up now. They say all I do is walk around and talk. And hack. A guy reminded me 3 years and still hacking.
Yep. The hacking ain't such a bad thing.
This is not. It ain't terrible. Alright, let me go figure out what I'm going to do about a shifter. Alright, so I went in the house, sat down in my chair where there's Wi-Fi, and was looking at shifters. And I was reminded of a story when little Miss Heavy Chevy was a little girl. And it was always our policy you had to eat at dinner time, and we weren't standing for no fussiness. You had to eat what was made. You didn't have to eat all of it, but you had to eat, a portion, a substantial portion. And the poor little girl was a little hard-headed. Always has been. and still is. I don't know where she gets that. Anyway, she refused to eat something. I forgot what it was, but it was alright, whatever it was. It wasn't like it was liver or peas or something like that. And I told her she was going to eat it, and she said she was not. And I figured out how to win that battle. So I told her she had to sit right there until she ate it. So I think an hour and a half, something like that had went by. And all of a sudden she ran out and said, Daddy, Daddy, I figured out how to eat it. She said, and it's good. And she ate it down. That's kind of the situation here. I went in the house and was looking at shifters. You know, they're $500 plus. So I think I figured out a way I'm going to eat it here. I'm gonna try to make this thing work. I'm going to try to make it work. I don't think I'm going to mount it to the transmission, though. I think I'm going to mount this to the floor. You know, you can buy them like that with the bracketry to mount it to the floor. I might have to modify this a little bit. This thing works. The neutral safety switch, I got everything adjusted. It works. It's good. I think I'm going to use it. At least that's the direction I'm going to proceed in. Just kind of sizing things up here. I think what's going to happen is, I see the ones that are designed to mount to the floor. There's something like this. Not exactly, but there's a notch cut in the floor where this piece goes through. So I think I'm going to have to put like a step. You can see. Step something like that and come down, and then this is going to have to get a little longer. I think maybe like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, something like that longer. And then this linkage will have to come from high and miss all that wiring harness stuff. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. The floorboard is pretty tight to the transmission. I mean, you got about that much room, but there ain't no whole lot of room to be up there mounting this on top of the transmission and trying to tighten bolts and all like that right there. So I think that's my plan. So I'm going to proceed in that direction. I'll let you know as it gets derailed and I, do all that. I might have just figured out why this thing don't run. Maybe. And it's a dumb mistake. This wire that comes out of the harness here is supposed to be hot all the time. That I have hooked to this junction box right down there, which come off a Chevy truck, has no power on the one side. Why is that? I don't know why that is, but that's the way it is. Let me, evidently I swiped or lost or it never had the little lug between the two posts. Alright, let's see if I can do this. Like this, I'm holding it with my chin. No continuity. That's why she no worky. Let me hook that up and see if this thing will run. That might brighten my whole day. Alright, I'm going to see what happens. See if this makes her live. Where's my little LCD thing? Let me find. Fuel pump's running. Dakota digital dash is lit up. Huh. Still nothing. Let me think on that. Well, I ain't sure what to make of it now. We got spark. We got pulse the injectors, but she still won't run. I don't know. I suppose it's possible. You know, them injectors sat in that fuel rail for no telling how long, and I did not test them. I suppose they could be sticking. But they came out of a 2010 Camaro. I don't know. That could be the problem. I never pulled them out of the intake. Anyway. Alright, I ain't been doing too much videoing because quite frankly I ain't in the mood for it. But I owe y'all, you've been following along, I owe y'all to know what I'm doing, I think. Anyway, I figured out that the 7th light on the ICU has something to do with the cam sensor. And it looks yellow to me, but according to the Holly people, it ain't capable of yellow, it's red, so okay. Anyway, it's got something to do with the cam sensor. I put an old cam sensor in it because a new one was a few bucks, and you know I'm kind of broke. And I figured, hey, it worked in the last motor, bound to work on this one, right? So that may or may not be true. Anyway, I'm gonna put a new one in it, and I had to pull the intake to do it. So I guess a lesson here is, just put the new parts in. Quit being a cheapskate, for Pete's sake. Yeah, that. So I'm going to put a new sensor in, and I pulled the intake, and I'm suspecting my injectors something. Anyway, I come loaded for bear for that, too. I bought me one of these doolollies. I saw Half-Ass Customs pointed out one time, so hey. That dude turns out cars like crazy. You know, before I get 4 tires on one, he's built 2 cars. I don't know how he does it. I just don't understand it. But my hat is off to him. Hope to meet that guy someday. And the DD Speed Shop guy. You know, he turns out cars like crazy. Me, I'm over here. I've been working on this thing more than a year. And it still ain't nowhere near done. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now, put my new cam sensor in, and then I'm going to pull these injectors, and I'm going to test them in my new apparatus. Y'all got to remind me to turn the camera on. I get caught up in something new and forget to turn the camera on. Anyway, I put them in here and tested them, and at first they didn't really want to squirt at all. They're kind of green inside. And then they started working, and then it wound up, all of them flowed about the same except this one. So now I've got it in ultrasonic cleaner, and it opens and closes them while it's going at it. So you can backflush them too. So I think I'm going to do that first, and then flow test them and see how it does then. I suspect, I think this, you know, no telling how long, this is off a 2010 Camaro, I believe. I think when the car was right new, this was removed and they put a blower on it. I think it had like 16,000 miles on it, according to what my buddy told me. So, that thing's been laying with fuel in it since whenever that was. And dummy me tries to cut a corner, you know, and just throw them in there. Low mileage Camaro's got to be good, right? I think they were gummed up. I think that's my trouble. I flushed out the fuel rail. It had goo in it. Green goo. So, almost like it had 2-stroke gas. Anyway, let's see how this does. And my new cam sensor, maybe this darn car will run. Honestly, it's took the wind out of my sails. Again! Alright, I did it in the ultrasonic for 10 minutes, pulsing the injectors. Now let's see what it does. I'm going to do the accelerating test. It starts out slow and works its way up. And if they wind up being the same, that'll be good. Let's see what happens. Just slightly less. Let's try it again. Oh, it's I guess these two are just very so slightly more, and these two outside ones are about the same, best I can tell. I'm gonna run a few different tests and run them a little bit and see what happens. All right, I'm no fuel injector expert, but that was the medium spray volume test, and it looks like they're pretty darn close. That one just dripped though. What's up with that? Anyway, let's drain it and do it one more time. Popo's got a customer, sounds like. Hear that? Looks like they're spraying pretty consistent. I don't know if that beep, 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 beep. I don't know. I don't know. That one just a scotch a little bit more. That was just a scotch a little bit less. I don't know. Should I worry about that? How accurate is this testing apparatus, I wonder? I will say, the first test I did off camera was a leakage test, and two of them leaked like crazy. Let's just do that right now. I'll show you how that looks. Leakage test. Turns the pump up 60 psi. We got no leakers. This thing's pretty handy, I think. I have some Bosch 850s, but best I can tell, you can't run them with a Holly system. At least it doesn't have a selection for it. So that came off that same Camaro, but running with the blower. So that Saturday morning, bright and fairly squirrely. Everybody's still sleeping. I've outgrown that. I can't sleep no more. I gotta wake up 6 o'clock at the latest. I'm gonna finish cleaning my injectors, put this thing back together. I think I need to buy new injectors for this thing, but I think these will be good enough to get it running. We're gonna do the acceleration test. I gotta do some more research. See if I can use these Bosch ones, which it don't look like I can. Or what's the right thing to use. But they're not precisely equal. Although that one's getting better. So just a little bit less than there were other ones. So ideally, they would be perfect. I paid for that thing. They didn't give it to me. So here's my 2 cents about it. I think it's pretty handy to have if you're going to mess with fuel injected stuff. I forgot exactly how much it costs, but it's like $300 or $400 or something like that. But, you know, especially with today's fuel, everything gums up. I did my Trans Am project, I just bought new injectors. I probably could have cleaned them with this. I did that Mustang, I just bought new injectors. Maybe could have cleaned them. Probably could have. So, my point is, it wouldn't take long to pay for this if you're not buying injectors. And it works pretty good. Better than that spray can and 9-volt battery deal I did before. Certainly. I tested one that way, thought it was good, and it wasn't, so. How super accurate is this thing? I don't know. I don't know. But it definitely can tell you, are the injectors leaking? Are they working? Is spraying fuel? That kind of thing. So I think it's worth it if as long as the thing keeps working. If it's a one-time use deal, that's not good. But anyway, we'll see. I'll report back as I can. All right. Fella mentioned in the last drag racing video that I was running Briggs & Stratton engines. Well, this one's going to be a Kohler. Anyway, I got the injectors back in it, the fuel rail back on it, and I'm fitting to put it in the car. Putting new injectors in it later ain't that big of a deal. It's pretty easy to pull the rail off, so. Also, this is just a cover. It's just got a little insulation in it. I guess I need it. Anyway, I left it on there. What are you doing?
Removing these old seat covers.
You sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, carry on then.
Waited a long time for new ones.
Okay, carry on then. Alright, I got the intake manifold back on and torqued down. Now it's time to hook everything up once again and see if I can get this old gal to run. I listen to the radio while I'm working, except for when I'm recording, and stuff on the radio sometimes just blows me away. I just heard it's a government paid for ad, and it said, talk to your school and encourage a anti-violence program. I think they already have rules against violence. And it reminds me, I was riding in Charlotte, North Carolina not too long ago, and I went up, let's see, what street was it? I think it was somewhere around Wilkinson. Now, if anybody knows about Charlotte, which I know just a little, but Wilkinson is, it's not the best part of town. But anyway, there's a sign there that said, no prostitution zone. So, I guess you put a sign up, everybody just does what they're told, right? Good grief. I hereby declare this shop a no non-running LS engine zone. Alright, I got everything bolted together. I'm fitting to see if it'll run for the first time. Do you think it will?
I hope so.
Me too. Alright, here we go. Where's the switch? Pumps on. I don't have it hooked to the Terminator system, so it's not kicking off after 5 seconds. Hey, 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 hey!
That's a good sign.
Wonder why it's not idling. Anyway, it runs. We can figure that out. Alright, let's try it again. I'm going to get in the car so I can hit the gas pedal, Try to keep it running. We opened the doors and turned the fan on because it was starting to... Well, you know what it was starting to do. Here's my little handheld. I got the stuff, I can hook the laptop to it now too. Is it gonna idle now? Nope. 60 pounds of oil pressure, almost 60. Pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now it's idling. She's burning all the paint off the headers and everything else. I think I gotta set the idle speed up. I got it at 750. Anyway, I'm gonna let her cool off, check the transmission fluid, that kind of thing, all over again. Gotta be super cautious, but so far it sounds pretty good. All right, I just turned the idle up to 850. Let's see what it does now. Oh, maybe I need to. And the fan has came on. I'm pretty excited. Well, it's learning. It says so right there. 215 degrees. Maybe we can turn the idle down once it gets learnt. Well, I'm gonna let everything cool off, check all my fluids. It got up to operating temperature. Still learning. I still don't have a shifter hooked up. I need to do that, but I got a lot of other projects I need to do, like, let me show you that. Yeah, I need to get this off the trailer. Has a couple rust issues. Just, you know, just a few, but mostly it's a good car. It's got all the glass. Anyway, I need to get that off. I still need to pull the injector pump off the Suburban. I've got all kinds of things to do, so I need to proceed in some of those directions. I got a Caprice out back. Is going to be the donor for that. I need to put the injectors back in it and make it run. There's a million things I got to do. Plus I got to go to Virginia tomorrow. So, oh, I got to fix the brakes on my trailer. You know, other than that, I'm about to catch up. I think we'll conclude this video here. It lives. I'm gonna ring the bell. I'm pretty excited. It runs. I got to get a shifter going so I can back it in and out. I got to set the pinion angle. Got to do the interior. Still tons of things. See if the hood fits. You know, all that kind of stuff. But I got to work on some other stuff in the meantime. Don't forget to go to MrHeavyChevy.com where you can get a hat, t-shirt. I understand she's got some cool new t-shirts that y'all haven't seen before. Maybe she'll come and model it in the next video. You know, you'd rather have her model it than me probably, huh? Alright, see ya.